After a night with another man, Mafia Alpha came home but his Omega was gone with their son. There is a particular kind of loneliness that lives inside marriages. Kale Ander knows it well. 3 years beside the most feared Alpha in the Eastern Syndicate, and somehow he is the loneliest person in every room. Every night. Every unanswered call. Every cold dinner sitting untouched on a table set for two. Every morning he wakes to the left side of the bed empty, the sheets on the right side perfectly smooth, never disturbed, as if the person who should be there has become a ghost haunting the edges of his life. The penthouse is too big. It has always been too big, with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Seoul skyline and its marble countertops that never seem to hold any warmth. Kale has learned to move through it like a ghost, padding barefoot across the cold floors at 3 a.m., checking the nursery monitor, pressing his palm to his son's back just to feel the rise and fall of tiny breathing. 3 years of this. 3 years of sleeping on the left side of a California king bed while the right side stays perfectly made, untouched, cold. 3 years of setting the table for two and eating alone, the food growing stale as the hours stretch toward midnight and beyond. 3 years of telling himself that this is what it means to be married to someone like Dante Voss, someone whose world runs on blood and loyalty and the kind of power that makes men kneel. Kale told himself it was enough. He told himself that the silence was just the price of loving a man who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders. He told himself that Dante's absence was a form of protection, that the cold distance was safety wrapped in indifference. He was wrong. He knows that now, standing in the kitchen at 4:13 a.m. with his 6-month-old son burning against his chest, the fever so high that Kale can feel it radiating through the layers of his cardigan. The baby's skin is like a furnace, his small body trembling with the effort of fighting off whatever infection has taken hold. Kale has been awake for 3 hours now, pacing the length of the penthouse, pressing cool cloths to Juno's forehead, singing lullabies his own mother used to sing, trying not to let the panic swallow him whole. 38.8, he says out loud, to nobody. Because there is nobody there to say it to. Juno's tiny fingers curl and uncurl against Kale's chest, that weak little grip that breaks something inside him every single time. The baby's mouth is pressed open against his collarbone, hot and dry, each breath a shallow little gasp that makes Kale's heart clench with terror he refuses to name. He shifts the baby higher, pressing his lips to the damp forehead, and turns back toward the kitchen counter. 6 hours of cold food sits untouched. Galbi japchae, the noodles already clumped together and sad. Seaweed soup that has developed a skin on top. And a birthday cake, Dante's 33rd, with unlit candles slowly collapsing on one side, the frosting sliding like melted snow. The cake had been Kale's idea. A stupid, hopeful idea. He'd spent 3 hours in the kitchen, following a recipe from his grandmother, measuring and mixing and frosting, thinking that maybe, just maybe, if he did something special, Dante would come home early. Would look at him. Would see him. Would remember that he had a family waiting. Kale had lit the candles at 11 p.m. He'd watched them burn down to nothing while Juno slept in his bassinet and the penthouse stayed silent. He'd blown them out himself, made a wish he was too tired to remember, and then he'd sat there in the dark and wondered when he'd become the kind of person who made wishes on his own birthday cake. Dante's birthday cake. Not his. He hadn't had a birthday celebration in 3 years. Dante always forgot. Or remembered too late, sending flowers and jewelry through an assistant, as if that could replace the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a hand held in the dark. Juno whimpers. Kale starts moving again, bouncing him gently, pressing a cool cloth to his neck the way the doctor showed him. The way he has been doing for 3 hours. Alone. While his husband was out with another man at a 5-star hotel. The clock ticks. 4:15, 4:17. 4:22, each minute stretches into an hour. Kale's arms ache from holding Juno upright, but he can't put him down. Every time he tries, the baby's crying intensifies, that desperate wail that means, don't leave me, I'm scared and I hurt and I need you. So Kale holds him. Shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Sings the lullaby again. His phone is on the counter, face down. He hasn't looked at it since the photographs arrived. He doesn't need to. The images are burned into his retinas, playing on a loop every time he closes his eyes. Dante's face. The other man's hand on Dante's arm. The elevator doors sliding shut. Like a curtain at the end of a show. Who is he? Kale doesn't know. Doesn't want to know. The only thing that matters is that Dante was there, at midnight, with someone else, while Kale was here, alone, with a sick baby. Dante wasn't answering his phone. Dante wasn't coming home. Dante wasn't thinking about them at all. Juno's fever spikes again. Kale feels it, the sudden heat that radiates from the baby's small body. He rushes to the bathroom, runs cold water over a fresh cloth, presses it to Juno's neck. The baby screams, a thin, reedy sound that cuts through Kale like a blade. It's okay, Kale whispers. I've got you. I've got you, baby. You're okay. He's lying. He knows he's lying. Nothing is okay. Nothing has been okay for a long time. The front door opens at 4:47 a.m. Kale's heart seizes. He knows that sound. The particular click of the lock, the way the door swings open just a fraction too fast, the heavy tread of boots on the marble floor. Dante is home. Dante steps into the living room, his jacket still perfect, his hair still artfully disheveled in that careless way that took 20 minutes of styling. Not a single thing about him suggests guilt or hurry. His dark eyes find Kale across the apartment, and he stops. You're awake, he says, as if this is unusual. As if Kale hasn't been awake for 3 hours, pacing the floor with a feverish baby, alone. Juno has a fever. Kale doesn't move from the counter. His voice comes out flat, hollow, nothing like the trembling mess he feels inside. He's had it since 9 p.m. Something crosses Dante's face. Surprise, maybe. Guilt, possibly. It's gone too quickly for Kale to read. He takes one step forward, then stops. Why didn't you call me? I did. 14 times. The silence that follows is thick, heavy, suffocating. Dante's jaw tightens. He looks at the phone on the counter, face down, and something flickers in his expression. Concern? Fear? Kale can't tell anymore. He's spent 3 years trying to read Dante Voss, and he still can't tell when the man is lying. Who is he? Kale asks. Simple. Direct. No accusation in his tone, just a question. The way a man asks something when he already understands the answer and only needs to hear it spoken aloud to make it real. Dante's eyes meet his. What are you talking about? Don't. Kale picks up the phone, turns it over. The photographs are still there, frozen on the screen. He slides it across the counter. Don't insult me by pretending. Dante looks at the phone. His body goes very still. The kind of still that Kale has seen before, in moments of violence and danger and imminent death. The stillness of a predator weighing its options. That's not what you think. Dante's voice is controlled now, measured. The voice he uses in boardrooms and negotiations. The voice he never uses in their bedroom. Then explain it to me. I can't go into the details. It was a political meeting. Dante's eyes flick toward the baby. Kale, we'll talk about this later. Let me call the doctor. Let me. Your sun has been burning up for 7 hours. Kale's voice doesn't shake, which is a miracle. I have been alone in this apartment since yesterday morning. I called you 14 times, and you didn't pick up once. And now you're standing here telling me you can't go into the details. I didn't know he was sick because you didn't answer. That's the whole point. Kale's voice breaks on the words, and he hates himself for it. He hates how small he sounds, how desperate. You never answer. You're never here. And I have been standing in the middle of this life we supposedly built together, feeling like I'm completely invisible. He stops. Breathes. Juno is crying now, the sound muffled against his chest. Kale bounces him automatically, the motion so ingrained that he barely registers it. Do you have any idea, Kale continues, quieter now, what it's like to be married to someone who doesn't see you? To sit across a table from a man who looks through you like you're made of glass. To wake up every morning and wonder if today is the day he'll actually come home, actually stay, actually remember that you exist. Dante's face is unreadable. Kale. I loved you. Kale's voice cracks. I loved you so much. I gave up everything for you. My family. My career. My friends. Everyone told me it was a mistake, that you would never change, that I was just another Omega you'd use and discard. And I didn't listen. I thought I knew better. I thought love was enough. He stops. Looks at Dante. The man he married. The man he built a life with. The man who has slowly, methodically, broken him down into nothing. Did you sleep with him? Kale asks. Silence. Did you sleep with him? The pause before Dante answers is 3 seconds too long. They both know it. No. But Kale hears the hesitation. Hears the calculation. And something inside him, something that has been slowly dying for 3 years, finally gives up the ghost. He doesn't yell. He doesn't scream. He just nods, once, and picks up the baby, and walks to the bathroom. He runs cold water over his wrists. He looks at his reflection in the mirror and doesn't recognize the man staring back. Hollow-eyed. Gaunt. A ghost of who he used to be. Juno's fever broke an hour later. Kale doesn't remember sitting down on the bathroom floor, but that's where he finds himself, back against the tub, knees pulled up, the baby asleep against his chest. He just sits there, listening to his son breathe, thinking about nothing and everything at the same time, until the nothing wins. Dante is in the bedroom. Kale heard the mattress shift at some point, heard Dante say his name once through the door. Quietly, like he wasn't sure he wanted Kale to answer. Kale didn't answer. He keeps thinking about Juno. Not the photos. Not the other man. Not the frozen accounts or the word liability that keeps crawling back up every time he tries to push it down. He keeps thinking about the fact that Juno is 6 months old, and this house is the only world he knows. These walls. This silence. The way his father's side of the bed is always cold by morning. Juno can't talk yet. He can't understand any of it. But babies feel everything you don't say out loud. They absorb it like water soaking into dry earth. And Kale knows, with a certainty that settles deep in his bones, that if he stays here, this becomes normal to Juno. This becomes what love looks like. A man who doesn't come home. A man who doesn't answer the phone. A man who forgets your name, your face, your existence. He can't let that happen. So he gets up. He packs one bag. Just one. Juno's formula. His blanket. His medication. A few things for Kale. He doesn't think too hard about it, because if he thinks too hard, he won't leave. He moves fast and quiet through the apartment, a ghost passing through rooms that have never really felt like home. He stops at the bedside table. His wedding ring. A simple platinum band with a single diamond, the one Dante had placed on his finger 3 years ago in a ceremony that had been more about alliances than love. Cale stands there looking at it, thinking about the day he'd said, "I do." How certain he'd been. How stupid certainty feels from the other side of it. He pulls it off and sets it down on the table. He doesn't let himself feel anything about the sound it makes when it lands. He picks up Juno from the nursery. The baby makes that small sound he always makes when lifted, that little exhale of trust, and he just folds into Cale like he knows. Like he has always known that Cale would be the one to carry him out of here. Cale walks past the bedroom. Stops. Dante's hand is moving across the mattress in his sleep, slow, reaching across to Cale's side. His fingers open against the cold empty sheet and just stay there, holding nothing. Reaching for something that isn't there anymore. Cale watches for a long moment. Then he walks out the front door. He can keep reaching. But Cale won't be there anymore. The bus station is nearly empty at 6 a.m. Cale sits in the fluorescent glow of the waiting area, Juno strapped to his chest in the carrier, the single bag at his feet. He'd left his phone behind. Let Dante track the GPS signal to an apartment that no longer holds anyone who matters. He has no plan. This is the terrifying part. For 3 years, every decision has been made for him, where to live, what to eat, who to see. His life has been a series of permissions and restrictions, a beautiful cage built of gold and silence. And now he's on the outside, and he doesn't know where to go, and he has never felt more free. The bus to Busan leaves in 20 minutes. Cale thinks about the last time he saw his friend Miho. It was at his wedding, 3 years ago. Miho had been the only person in the room who didn't seem happy for him. "Be careful," Miho had whispered, hugging him tight. "The powerful ones, they have a way of swallowing you whole. Don't let him eat you alive." Cale had laughed it off. He'd thought Miho was being dramatic. Now he understands. Now he knows exactly what it feels like to be devoured. "Can I help you?" Cale looks up. A woman in a bus station uniform is standing in front of him, her face kind but tired, the face of someone who has seen too many lost people at too many early hours. "I'm fine," he says automatically. "Thank you." She looks at him. Looks at the baby. Looks at the bag. Looks at his eyes, which must be red-rimmed and hollow. "I've got a coffee station in the back," she says. "You look like you could use some." He wants to say no. He wants to be invisible, to disappear into the anonymity of the waiting room. But something in her voice makes him nod. 5 minutes later, she hands him a paper cup. It's terrible coffee, watery and bitter. It's the best thing he's ever tasted. "First time on your own?" she asks. "Is it that obvious? Baby that age. Bag that small. Eyes that look like you haven't slept in a year." She shrugs. "I've been working this station for 8 years. You learn to spot people who are running." Cale stares into the coffee cup. Is it wrong? What? Running. She considers this. "I don't think it's wrong," she says slowly, "to choose yourself. For a change." The bus arrives. Cale stands, hitches the bag onto his shoulder, adjusts Juno against his chest. The baby stirs, makes a sleepy sound, settles back down. The woman watches him. "Busan's good," she says. "The air is different there. Salt from the sea. It washes things away." "Thank you," Cale says. "I don't know your name." Doesn't matter, she says. Just keep going. He gets on the bus. He watches Seoul fall away through the window. The city that has held him prisoner for 3 years, the penthouse where he'd learned to be invisible, the marriage that had slowly suffocated him without him even noticing. The sun is rising over the mountains when Juno wakes and starts to cry. Kale feeds him, bouncing him gently, humming a lullaby his mother used to sing. Other passengers glance at them, but no one says anything. Just an Omega and his baby on an early morning bus, heading somewhere. Busan smells like salt and bread. Kale hadn't expected that. He hadn't expected to walk into Miho's little bakery, a tiny storefront with a faded sign that reads, Miho's bread, in peeling letters, and feel his shoulders drop in relief for the first time in months. The apartment above the shop is small and warm, smells like something is always baking, and the walls are thin enough that he can hear the street below. None of it is anything like the penthouse. None of it is anything like the life he left behind. Miho doesn't ask too many questions. That's why Kale called him. He just opened the door, looked at Kale and Juno, looked at the single bag on Kale's shoulder, and said, the room in the back has a heater. That was it. No interrogation. No opinions. Just a heater and a door that locks and someone who remembers who Kale was before he became Dante Voss's Omega. The first 2 days, Kale sleeps more than he has in months. Juno sleeps too, curled against him in the small bed, his breathing finally even and easy now that his fever is gone. Kale wakes to the smell of bread and the sound of Miho singing badly to himself downstairs, and he lies there and lets himself feel it. This small, quiet, ridiculous feeling of being okay. He hadn't realized how long he had been not okay. On the 3rd day, Miho brings breakfast up to the apartment. Fresh bread, still warm from the oven. A bowl of soup. A cup of tea. He sets everything on the small table, sits down across from Kale, and looks at him with the particular patience of someone who knows when to push and when to wait. So, Miho says. You want to tell me what happened? Kale stares at the bread. It smells like yeast and butter and home. He had an affair, he says. Or at least, I think he did. The photos looked convincing. Hotel. Midnight. Another man. His hand on Dante's arm like they were lovers. Miho's face darkens. That bastard. I don't even know if it's true. I don't care anymore. Kale breaks off a piece of bread, eats it without tasting it. That's the thing, Miho. I don't care. 3 years of being invisible, of eating dinner alone, of crying myself to sleep while he was out doing whatever, I can't do it anymore. I can't be that person. Then don't be. Miho reaches across the table, takes Kale's hand. You're not that person. Not anymore. You're someone else now. Someone who chooses himself. Kale laughs, a hollow sound. I don't even know who that is. Then figure it out. You've got time. You've got Juno. You've got me. Miho squeezes his hand. That's enough to start. The first time Kale smells Dante's scent is on the 5th day in Busan. He's standing in the market, picking up an onion, trying to remember if he's supposed to buy red or yellow for the stew Miho is teaching him to make. It's peaceful. Ordinary. The kind of moment he'd thought he'd never have again. And then it hits him. That scent. Alpha. Dark. Smoky. Whispers of cedar and something metallic beneath it, like blood on a cold knife. Kale's body responds before his brain does, a flush of heat in his chest, a sudden tingling at the back of his neck, a desperate pulse between his thighs that has nothing to do with want and everything to do with biology. Juno is with Miho. Kale is alone in the crowded market, surrounded by strangers, and Dante's scent is clinging to the air like a ghost. He spins around. The market is full of people, a chaos of colors and sounds and smells. Kale's eyes search frantically. He can't see Dante anywhere. But the scent is here. Faint, but unmistakable. It's older, left behind, like a signature on the air. Dante has been here. Kale's heart pounds. His hands shake. He sets down the onion and walks blindly through the crowd, following the scent like a bloodhound, knowing it's stupid and dangerous and that every step takes him closer to the man who made him feel invisible for 3 years. The scent grows stronger near a stall selling dried fish and squid. Kale stops. Breathes. The alpha scent here is fresh, only hours old, maybe minutes. Dante was standing exactly here. Shopping. Looking. Searching. Juno. Oh God. Juno. Kale turns and runs back through the market, shoving past people, his heart in his throat. He bursts into the bakery, gasping, and finds Miho sitting on the floor with Juno, the baby gurgling happily at the yellow toy elephant Miho has given him. Kale? Miho looks up, alarmed. What happened? Dante's here, Kale says. I smelled him. He's in Busan. Miho's face goes pale. He found you. He was in the market. I don't know if he's still there. I don't know what he wants. Probably to find his family. Miho's voice is carefully neutral. You did kind of disappear with his son. He didn't deserve to have me. Maybe not. But the baby is still his. And Dante Voss doesn't strike me as the kind of man who lets things go. Miho is right. Dante shows up 3 days later. Kale sees him from the bakery window at 6 a.m., a dark silhouette across the street, hands in his pockets, standing in the cold like he belongs there. Like he has always been there. Kale stands at that window for a full minute, just staring at him. Dante doesn't move. Doesn't look up. Just watches the building the way a man watches something he refuses to lose. He's a wreck. Kale can see it even from here. Dante's hair is disheveled, unwashed. His face is pale, shadows hollowing out his eyes, a cut above his left eyebrow that nobody has cleaned yet. The alpha who always looks like $1 million, standing on a Busan street looking like he hasn't slept or eaten in days. Kale goes downstairs. He opens the front door. How long have you been here? He asks. Dante turns around. The smell of him is overwhelming this close, cedar and smoke and something else, something desperate and raw. His scent is off, Kale realizes. Wrong. Like a broken engine trying to run. Since the day I found out you were here, Dante says. His voice is rough, scraped raw. I had people in Busan within 12 hours of you leaving. You knew where I was and you just stood outside. I thought you needed space. Dante's eyes are fixed on Kale's face, devouring him. And then the moment I gave you space, someone tried to use it against you. Kale's breath catches. What are you talking about? The kidnappers. The men who took Juno from Miho's apartment. Cold floods through Kale's veins. What kidnappers? Dante's face flickers with something, surprise, then concern. You don't know. Know what? Dante looks past Kale, through the bakery window, at Miho visible inside. I thought the friend would have told you. The day you were at the market, 2 men came here. They took Juno. They put him in a black SUV. Kale's world tilts. The street falls away beneath his feet. No. No, that can't be true. Juno was with Miho. Juno was. He's fine, Dante says quickly, stepping forward. He's fine. I got him back within hours. He's safe. Kale's knees buckle. Dante catches him, pulls him close, and for a moment Kale lets himself be held. Then he pushes away, his hands shaking. You took my son. Someone else took him. I brought him back. Who? Dante's jaw tightens. My uncle. Director Kwan. He's been planning this for months. The frozen accounts. The photographs. The kidnapping. All of it. The photographs. The hotel. The other man. That was arranged. A political meeting my uncle forced me into, designed to make it look like I was having an affair. Sarah, the man in the photo, he's part of a rival syndicate. He was in on it. My uncle wanted to destabilize me. Wanted to make me look like a leader who couldn't control his own house. Kale shakes his head. You went silent when I asked you if you slept with him. You paused for 3 seconds. I heard it. We both heard it. Because I knew you wouldn't believe me. Dante's voice cracks. I knew you'd think I was lying. That's what my uncle counted on. He knew that years of me being absent, being cold, being married to the syndicate instead of to you, he knew it would make you doubt everything. Kale stares at him. The alpha is shaking, he realizes. Dante Voss, the most feared man in the Eastern Syndicate, is shaking in front of him. I need to see my son, Kale says. He's asleep upstairs. I made sure he was sleeping before I came down here. Gave him a bottle. He likes me. He knows me. Even at 6 months old, he knows his father. Kale closes his eyes. The exhaustion hits him like a physical weight. I can't do this, he says. I can't stand here and listen to you explain away 3 years of being alone. I'm not explaining it away. Dante steps closer. His scent rises around them, a wave of alpha pheromones that makes Kale's body hum with unwanted longing. I'm telling you the truth. Every cold dinner. Every unanswered call. Every night I came home too late and left too early. I was wrong. I know that now. I knew it then, and I didn't know how to fix it. He reaches out. Kale lets him take his hand. The touch burns. I was protecting you, Dante says. Or I told myself I was. I thought keeping you away from the syndicate was the only way to keep you safe. I thought distance was safety. I thought if I made myself invisible, the world would leave you alone. Then why didn't you tell me? Because I was a coward. Dante's voice drops to barely a whisper. Because telling you meant admitting that I was weak. That I couldn't protect the one person who mattered most. That I was in love with you, really in love, not just bonded, and that terrified me more than any rival syndicate ever could. Kale's hand trembles in Dante's grip. You love me. I have loved you since the day I met you. I just didn't know how to show it. I thought that if I kept you safe, that was enough. I thought absence was protection. I was wrong about everything. The kiss, when it happens, is soft. Barely a brush of lips against lips. But it sends a cascade of heat through Kale's body, the bond between them flaring to life like a sleeping dragon. His knees weaken. Dante catches him. Come home, Dante whispers against his lips. Please. Kale pulls back. I can't. The baby needs. Juno needs me to be whole. Kale's voice is steady. He needs to see his Omega parent choosing himself for once. He needs to grow up knowing that love isn't silence and absence. He needs to learn that he deserves more than cold dinners and empty beds. Dante's face crumbles. Kale. Go home, Dante. Figure out your syndicate. Get rid of your uncle. Do whatever you need to do. And when you've done that, when you've fixed everything that was broken, maybe we can talk. But I can't be your Omega right now. I can't be the person who waits alone in the dark, hoping you'll show up. I need to be me. Just me. For a while. 7 months later. Kale's apartment smells like coffee and baby soap and the particular kind of quiet that belongs only to people who chose their own peace on purpose. It's small, nothing like the penthouse. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen that's barely big enough for 2 people to stand in, and a living room with mismatched furniture that Kale picked out himself. Juno is on the floor in front of him, sitting up on his own now, batting at the little stuffed elephant Miho sent from Busan. He's making that gurgling laugh that does something permanent to Kale's chest every single time. Healthy. Round-cheeked and bright-eyed. So relentlessly alive that some mornings Kale just sits and watches him and thinks about that night in the penthouse and can't believe how far they've come. His laptop is open on the table. 43 students waiting for today's literature lecture. Kale has notes on Fitzgerald, on the space between what people say and what they mean, on how the most important things in any story are always the things left unwritten. His students think he's talking about books. He's always talking about books. Director Kwon was apprehended 5 months ago. Dante's people moved on him quietly and completely, and he's now facing charges that will keep him occupied for the rest of his life. The assassination attempt. The frozen accounts. The staged photographs. All of it documented. All of it traceable back to one man who looked at a 6-month-old infant and saw an obstacle. Kale doesn't think about him anymore. Dante, though. Dante is a different conversation entirely. He shows up every single time. That's the thing Kale keeps coming back to. Every co-parenting arrangement, every scheduled visit, every doctor's appointment or school event or late-night emergency with a sick child, Dante is there. Early, never late, never cancels. He sits on Kale's floor and plays with Juno for hours, and he doesn't perform. It's not a show for Kale's benefit. He's just there, fully and completely, in a way he never was in 3 years of marriage. He brings food when he drops Juno off. Never asks if Kale needs it, just leaves it on the counter. Kale's coffee order, always right. Little things that Kale never told him he noticed, but he notices every single time. Kale went to therapy. He's still going. He's learning the difference between what he deserved and what he accepted. And some days, that distinction feels like the most important thing he's ever studied. He's happy. Actually, genuinely happy. Not the quiet survival he mistook for happiness for 3 years. Real happiness. The kind that belongs to him. Tonight, Dante stands at Kale's door after dropping Juno off. He looks at Kale with that look he's been wearing for 7 months, patient, steady, not pushing. And he says, quietly, have dinner with me. Kale looks at him for a long time. This man. This impossible, exhausting, changed man. Standing at the door of the life Kale built without him. Juno gurgles behind him. Kale doesn't say yes. He doesn't say no. He just looks at Dante Voss like a man who finally knows exactly what he's worth. And he lets him wait. Extra story. 2 years after Kale let him wait, Dante Voss still shows up at the door every Tuesday and Thursday at exactly 6:47 p.m. Not 6:45. Not 6:50. Exactly 6:47, because the first time he'd arrived early, Kale had still been in the shower, And the awkwardness of standing in the hallway with takeout containers while his ex-husband dripped water onto the welcome mat had been a lesson he never repeated. Dante Voss is many things: ruthless, obsessive, pathologically incapable of admitting weakness, but he is not a man who makes the same mistake twice. Tonight is Thursday. Juno is 3 years old now, a whirlwind of dark curls and sticky fingers and a laugh that sounds exactly like Kale's. He's sitting on the living room floor, constructing what appears to be a castle out of building blocks, though it keeps collapsing into a pile of colorful rubble. He doesn't look up when the doorbell rings. He already knows who it is. Papa! Juno shrieks, abandoning his ruined castle to sprint toward the door. His small feet slap against the hardwood floor, and his arms are already raised, reaching, demanding. Dante kneels in the doorway, gathering his son into his arms like the boy is made of glass. His scent floods the small apartment, cedar and smoke, but softer now, warmer. It's the scent of an alpha who has learned to be gentle. Who has learned that strength doesn't always mean steel. Hey, little wolf, Dante murmurs against Juno's curls. Did you miss me? Always, Juno says, the word muffled against his father's shoulder. Kale watches from the kitchen doorway. He's leaning against the frame, arms crossed, a dish towel tossed over one shoulder. His hair is longer now, falling past his collarbones, and there's a softness to his face that wasn't there 2 years ago. Not vulnerability, Kale will never be that person again. It's something else. Something like peace. Your timing is impeccable, Kale says. He was about to stage a hunger strike. Dante looks up, and his eyes do that thing they always do, that slow, deliberate sweep from Kale's face to his feet and back again, like he's memorizing him. Like he's afraid Kale might disappear if he looks away for too long. I brought dinner, Dante says. He holds up a bag from the Korean barbecue place 3 blocks away. The one you like. The one with the spicy pork. You remembered. I remember everything. The words hang between them, weighted with more meaning than simple takeout preferences. Kale's throat tightens. He turns away, busying himself with setting the table. 3 plates. 3 sets of chopsticks. 3 glasses of water. The domesticity of it still feels strange, after all this time. Strange and precious and terrifying. Juno chatters through dinner, a stream of consciousness that ranges from his daycare teacher's new haircut to the neighbor's cat that won't stop sitting on the balcony to a detailed and entirely fictional account of a dragon that lives under his bed. Dante listens with the kind of attention he once reserved for board meetings and syndicate negotiations, asking questions at exactly the right moments, laughing at exactly the right jokes. Kale watches them together, and something in his chest aches with a feeling he can't quite name. After dinner, Juno insists on a bath. Dante carries him to the bathroom, and Kale follows, lingering in the doorway as his ex-husband kneels beside the tub, carefully testing the water temperature with his wrist. The alpha's sleeves are rolled up, revealing forearms that still bear the faint scars of his old life, and Kale remembers, sharp and sudden, the first time he'd seen those arms wrapped around him. They'd met at a charity gala. Kale had been 23, fresh out of graduate school, working as a junior curator at a small gallery that had been hired to display pieces for the event. He'd spent the evening explaining the meaning behind abstract paintings to rich people who didn't actually care, and he'd been tired and hungry and ready to go home when a man in a perfectly tailored suit had appeared beside him. You look like you'd rather be anywhere else, the man had said. Kale had looked up, startled. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark eyes that seemed to see straight through him. His scent was overwhelming, cedar and smoke and something sharp beneath it, something dangerous. Kale's omega instincts had screamed at him to run, but he'd held his ground. I'd rather be eating, Kale had admitted. There's a taco truck 3 blocks from here that's open until midnight. The Al Pastor is transcendent. The man had laughed. Actually laughed, a real sound that seemed to surprise even him. "I'm Dante Voss," he'd said. "And I think you might be the most interesting person in this room." "I'm Cale Ander," Cale had replied. "And I think you might be the most dangerous one." 6 months later, they were married. 3 years after that, Cale was running out of a penthouse in the middle of the night with their 6-month-old son. "Cale." Dante's voice pulls him back to the present. He's standing in the bathroom doorway, Juno in his arms wrapped in a towel, steam curling around them both. "You okay?" Dante asks. His eyes are searching, worried. The same look he's been wearing for the past 2 years. The look of a man who knows he broke something precious and is terrified he'll never be able to fix it. "I'm fine," Cale says. "Just thinking." "About what?" Cale reaches out, takes Juno from Dante's arms. "The baby? No, he's not a baby anymore, he's a toddler, a little boy with opinions and tantrums and a laugh that lights up every room, squirms against him, damp and warm and perfect." "About how different everything is now," Cale says. Dante's jaw tightens. He doesn't ask for clarification. He knows exactly what Cale means. Later, after Juno is asleep in his little bed, tucked under a blanket decorated with elephants, Cale and Dante sit on the small balcony overlooking the city. The night air is cool, carrying the distant sounds of traffic and laughter. Soul glitters below them, 1,000 lights in 1,000,000 windows, each one holding a story. Dante's phone buzzes. He glances at it, then silences it without responding. His scent spikes with something sharp, annoyance, maybe, or anxiety. "Work?" Cale asks. "Something like that." Dante sets the phone face down on the small table between them. "It can wait." "Can it?" Dante looks at him. Really looks, the way he's been doing for 2 years now, like he's trying to make up for all the years he didn't. "Everything can wait," he says, "except this." Cale's breath catches. "Dante." "I know." Dante holds up a hand. "I know. You're not ready. You might never be ready. And that's okay. I'm not here to push. I'm here." Cale stares at him. This is not the man he married. The man he married would have demanded, would have insisted, would have assumed that his presence was a gift Cale should be grateful for. This man, this changed, patient, impossible man, is sitting on a balcony in a small apartment, letting Cale set the pace. "Why now?" Cale asks. "Why weren't you like this before?" Dante is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is rough, scraped raw. "Because I didn't know how," he says. "I grew up in a world where love was a weapon. My father used it to control people. My uncle used it to manipulate people. I didn't know that love could be soft. I thought that if I showed you how much you mattered, it would make you a target. I thought distance was protection." He pauses. Runs a hand through his hair. Cale notices, for the first time, the gray at his temples that wasn't there 2 years ago. "I was wrong," Dante says. "I was so wrong. And by the time I realized it, you were gone. You were gone, and I was standing in an empty apartment with your ring on the bedside table, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't fucking breathe, Cale. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I've sat across tables from men who wanted me dead, and none of it, was as terrifying as walking into that nursery and realizing you'd taken Juno and I might never see either of you again." Cale's eyes burn. He blinks rapidly, refusing to let the tears fall. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Dante continues. "I'm not even asking for a second chance. I'm just asking for this. Tuesdays and Thursdays. A little bit of your time. That's all I need. Cale looks at him. The man who broke him. The man who saved him. The man who spent 3 years making him feel invisible and 2 years doing everything in his power to make him feel seen. You keep showing up, Cale says. Every time. You bring food. You play with Juno. You remember my coffee order. I remember everything. Cale leans forward. His hand finds Dante's. Their fingers intertwine, and the bond between them hums with familiar warmth. Dinner, Cale says. Just dinner. Not a date. Not a promise. Just dinner. Dante's face transforms. The relief is so raw, so naked, that Cale has to look away. Okay, Dante breathes. Okay. 3 days later, Cale stands in front of his closet, staring at his clothes like they're written in a foreign language. He hasn't been on a date in 3 years. Not a real one. Not since the early days of his marriage, when Dante used to take him to fancy restaurants and whisper secrets in his ear and make him feel like the only person in the world. Those days had faded quickly, replaced by cold dinners and empty beds and a loneliness so profound that Cale had started to think it was just part of being married. Now he's standing in a too-small apartment with a toddler asleep in the next room and a date with his ex-husband in 45 minutes, and he has no idea what to wear. You're overthinking this, says Miho's voice from the phone. Cale has Miho on speaker, propped against the mirror. I am not overthinking. I am appropriately thinking. There's a difference. There is no difference. You're literally holding the same shirt you've been holding for 10 minutes. It's a good shirt. It's a beige shirt. It looks like a potato sack. Cale glares at the phone. I am going to revoke your best friend privileges. You can't revoke something you don't have. I'm your only friend. You're stuck with me. Cale laughs despite himself. Miho has always been able to do that, cut through the spiral with a well-aimed joke. Just wear the blue one, Miho says. The one that brings out your eyes. And don't overthink it. It's just dinner. With your ex-husband. Who you still love. Who still loves you. No pressure. Miho. Too much. Too much. Okay, okay. Have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. You do everything. Exactly. That's the point. Dante picks him up at 7 p.m. He's wearing a dark suit, no tie, the top 2 buttons of his shirt undone. His hair is slicked back, and he looks like he stepped out of a magazine. Cale feels suddenly underdressed in his blue shirt and dark jeans. You look beautiful, Dante says. It's a shirt, Cale says. You make it beautiful. Cale rolls his eyes, but he's smiling. He can't help it. Dante has always been able to do this, make him smile, even when he's trying to be annoyed. The restaurant is small and intimate, tucked away in a corner of the city that Cale has never explored. The lighting is warm, the tables spaced far enough apart to feel private, and the food is incredible. Dante has clearly put thought into this, into every detail, down to the wine pairing and the dessert course. Thank you, Cale says, when the main plates are cleared. This is really lovely. You don't have to thank me. Dante's voice is low, sincere. I should be thanking you. For giving me this chance. For not running in the other direction. Cale's throat tightens. I almost did. I know. I was standing at the door, and I almost closed it. I almost said no. But you didn't. I didn't. Dante reaches across the table, and Cale lets him take his hand. The contact sends a shiver through him, the bond humming with familiar warmth. Why? Dante asks. Why did you say yes? Cale thinks about it. Thinks about 2 years of Tuesdays and Thursdays, of takeout containers and bedtime stories, and a man who kept showing up even when he had no guarantee of anything in return. Because you changed, Cale says. I don't know how, and I don't know when, but you changed. And I couldn't keep punishing you for the person you used to be. I deserve to be punished. Maybe. But I'm tired of punishing. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of holding on to all that hurt. Cale squeezes his hand. I want to try. Not for Juno. Not for the past. For us. For what we could be. Dante's eyes are wet. Cale has never seen him cry. In 3 years of marriage, in 2 years of waiting, he has never once seen Dante Voss cry. I don't deserve this, Dante says. Probably not, Cale agrees. But I'm giving it to you anyway. 6 weeks later, Cale lets Dante stay the night. Not for anything physical. Not yet. It's just that Juno has a nightmare in the middle of the night, and the drive back to Dante's penthouse is too far, and there's a couch in the living room that's perfectly comfortable. But when Cale wakes up at 3 a.m. to check on Juno, he finds Dante asleep on the floor beside the toddler's bed, one hand resting on Juno's tiny back. The alpha is still dressed, still wearing the button-down shirt from dinner, and his face is soft with sleep in a way Cale has never seen before. He stands in the doorway, watching them, and something in his heart cracks open. He wakes Dante with a hand on his shoulder. Dante's eyes flutter open, confused, and Cale whispers, "Come to bed." Dante's face goes still. Cale. Just asleep, Cale says. I don't want to be alone tonight. Dante stands, follows him into the bedroom, and settles onto the right side of the bed. The side he used to leave empty. The side Cale used to cry over. They lie there in the dark, not touching, but close. So close. Cale can feel the warmth radiating from Dante's body, can smell his scent, can hear his breathing. I missed you, Cale whispers. Dante turns, pulls him close. His arms wrap around Cale, tight and possessive and tender all at once. His face buries in Cale's hair. I missed you too, Dante says. Every single day. The mark on Cale's neck thrums to life as Dante's mouth brushes over it. Not a bite, Dante would never do that without asking, not now, not ever again, just the ghost of contact, the memory of what they were. I love you, Dante breathes. I love you, I love you, I love you. Cale presses closer. Show me. Dante's hand finds his. Their fingers intertwine, and the bond between them blazes with warmth. It's not a perfect story. There are still rough edges, moments when the old habits creep back in, Dante's tendency to disappear into his own head, Cale's instinct to shut down instead of speaking up. But they're trying. Every day, they're trying. And for now, that's enough. 3 years later, they remarry. It's a small ceremony, just friends and family. Miho is the best man, crying openly from the front row. Juno is the ring bearer, clutching the pillows like his life depends on it, and he walks down the aisle with the solemn determination of a small general. Dante is wearing a dark suit, and Cale is wearing white, and when they say their vows, Dante's voice breaks. I didn't know how to love you, Dante says, when we first got married. I thought I did, but I didn't. I thought love was control. I thought love was protection. I thought love was keeping you safe by keeping you at a distance. He reaches for Cale's hands. Cale lets him take them. I was wrong, Dante says. Love is showing up. Love is staying. Love is choosing you, every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He swallows. His eyes are bright. I promise to show up, he says. I promise to stay. I promise to choose you and Juno and the family we've built together, every single day, for the rest of my life. Cale's eyes are wet too. He squeezes Dante's hands. I promise to let you, Cale says. I promise to stop running. I promise to choose you too, even when it's scary, even when I want to hide. I promise to stay. They kiss, and the bond between them flares with a warmth that feels like home. The reception is small and loud and chaotic. Juno runs around the room, fueled by too much cake and excitement, while Miho attempts to wrangle him into submission. Dante's syndicate associates, the ones who have stuck by him through everything, keep a respectful distance, but they're smiling, all of them, even the ones who once looked at Cale like he was a weakness. Cale dances with his son, then with Miho, then with Sarah, the man from the hotel, who has become an unlikely ally in the years since. You look happy, Sarah says. I am happy, Cale replies. Good. You deserve it. Thank you. For what you did. For telling me the truth. Sarah shrugs. I owed you. I was part of the plot to destroy your family. It was the least I could do. Still. Thank you. Sarah smiles. Go dance with your husband. He's been staring at you for the past 10 minutes. Cale turns. Dante is across the room, watching him with an expression of pure wonder. Like Cale is the only person in the world. Cale walks toward him. Dance with me? Cale asks. Dante takes his hand. Always. They dance in the middle of the crowded room, swaying to a slow song that neither of them is paying attention to. Dante's hand is on Cale's back, and Cale's head is on Dante's shoulder, and everything feels right. Finally, after all these years, everything feels right. Is this what you imagined? Dante asks. When you left? No, Cale admits. I didn't imagine anything. I was just trying to survive. And now? Cale pulls back, looks up at his husband. His alpha. His partner. The man who broke him and the man who helped put him back together. Now I'm imagining forever, Cale says. Dante kisses him. Soft, sweet, full of promise. That sounds perfect, Dante says. The end.